Chapter 39, The Whirlwind That Spoke. "I think it's time for some more exercise," said Angel. "No!" shouted everyone. "Yes!" roared Blizzard. "Come on, the water slides are open to all of you. A big swim and a run will make you feel good." "And if you're not up for that," said Angel, "I'm taking anyone who wants to come on a lazy walk in the garden. We'll collect some things to add to our feast tonight." There were some groans, but mostly people were excited to do something once they realised that it was unavoidable. After about an hour, everyone was back on the deck. Oh, I think we need to say the observatory deck. Everyone was back on the observatory deck, and Darling had laid, oh sorry, not and, where Darling had laid out a huge feast. "This is only to start," she announced. "There's more to come." Blizzard leant down to kiss her pink head. "There's always more to come with you, dear one," he said. Darling gazed up at him, beaming. "Who's reading next?" asked Blizzard. "Me," said Angel. "I have a feeling I'm going to like this chapter." Everyone applauded, and slowly a hush fell over the audience as they happily ate and drank, waiting for Angel to start. We need to say waiting for Angel to start reading. "Here we go," she said. Chapter 39, The Whirlwind That Spoke. Back in Drage, Nell had arrived at the conference on homelessness. Many months before, she'd been invited to give a paper about her activism, but until that very day, she'd not replied to the people arranging the conference. Because Nell lived in the same city as Isla, the organisers had suggested that both women give their papers on the same afternoon the following day, and then run a panel together. The last thing Nell wanted to do was travel to Drage, but she knew she had to get hold of Isla's necklace, so she politely agreed with the plan. Before she left Innisfree, she and Bill put the silver book into a very safe place in their home. Because she was the author, Nell could get into the manual anywhere, but when she was in there, she wanted to know exactly where the book itself was and that it was safe. Bill said he wouldn't let anyone find it. When Nell arrived in Drage, all the delegates were on their way out to dinner. Isla started faking friendship with Nell in front of the delegates. "We've been next door neighbours since we were girls," said Isla, putting her arm around Nell. "Photo?" asked Nell, handing her magic camera to one of the dinner guests. Nell and Isla smiled as various cameras snapped pictures. Nell was thinking quickly. She had to get her hands on Isla's pearls before anything happened to harm Petrel and Squid's parents. "We even shared our clothes when we were children," said Nell. "How strange and lovely," said one of the women sitting next to Isla. When Nell arrived in Drage, all the delegates were on their way out to dinner. Isla started faking friendship with Nell in front of all the delegates. "We've been next-door neighbours since we were girls," said Isla, putting her arm around Nell. "I hope we're at the same table," said Nell. "Oh, of course," said one of the organisers, leading Nell and Isla to table 11. "How lovely," said Nell. "We both live in Elven Avenue." Isla looked anxious but smiled and nodded. "Photo?" asked Nell, handing her magic camera to the organiser. Nell and Isla then smiled at various cameras snapped pictures. Nell was thinking quickly. She had to get her hands on Isla's pearls before anything happened to harm Petrel and Squid's parents. "We even shared our clothes when we were children," said Nell. "How strange and lovely," said the woman sitting next to Isla. Isla frowned as her memory came to life. "We did," she said, smiling at Nell. "When we were girls. I'd forgotten that." Nell nodded, eating her food and trying to look casual. "We even shared our jewellery and our shoes," she added. "We were very close." I think We need to make that clear that that's Nell. Added Nell. Isla nodded, having a sip of her wine. We were, she said. Just like sisters, said Nell. Isla frowned. A bit like sisters, I suppose, she said. To sisters, said Nell, clinking her glass with Isla. Cheers, added Nell. Cheers, said Isla. Let's get another photo, said the lady next to Isla. Nell took her chance. Let's swap shoes and necklaces, for old time's sake. Isla laughed. I doubt our feet are the same anymore. Nell handed her camera to the woman next to Isla. Oh, come on, she said, removing her long blue necklace. It'll be fun. Isla shook her head, clearly embarrassed in front of the conference delegates. Okay, she said, swapping shoes and jewellery with Nell. The woman with the camera laughed. Wedding rings as well, she asked. Not necessary, said Nell with a giggle, putting her arm around Isla. Your shoes are so big, said Isla. Oh, no, let's not say that. We'll change that. Your shoes fit me perfectly, said Isla, but I love this blue. Is it lapis lazuli? Yes, said Nell, my favourite. Smile, said the woman with the camera. Let's get one with you too, said Nell, forcing the woman to stand next to Isla while she stood back to get a photograph of the two of them. Oh my, said Nell, putting her magic camera into her pocket. I think I'm going to vomit. I'm so sorry. Nell ran towards the ladies' room. Isla made a move to follow her, but one of the guests said, Give her a moment. Being ill can be so embarrassing. As Nell was running, she quickly removed the pearl necklace and left the ballroom. In the hotel lobby, she decided that her luggage could be forwarded later. Instead of going to the regular airport, Nell headed straight to the Centre for Imagination Travel. Asmax and Xavier were waiting for her. They whisked her away in one of their magic flying machines, and before anyone had noticed, Nell was far away from Drage. Where to now? Asked Xavier. I think I have to go to Imen City, she said. At least I know that Medusin can be reversed there. Nell drew... I just need to stop there. Nell had a pass-out in her bag. As the main author of the manual, all she needed was her pass-out to get back into the book she'd written. She hoped Toll and Jax were safe in there. Xavier and Asmax nodded at Nell. Are you ready? Asked Asmax. Definitely, said Nell. Back in Drage, there was an enormous commotion when Isla realised that Nell had gone, but Isla's lost necklace was not going to be the centre of all the attention. Something far more tumultuous was about to rock the capital city of Dragol Island. When Isla realised that Nell had left the building, she began to shout, Thief! Thief! But before anything could be done, there was a terrible roar that extended right across Drage. With it came the sound of a raging wind and tremendous earth tremors. The city was in an uproar. Everyone raced to the window of the ballroom in time to realise that the theft of a pearl necklace was the least of anyone's worries. Buildings were toppling all over the horizon, and buildings were toppling everywhere. And a wildly whirling wind was heading towards the ballroom. Everyone started to run down the fire escape stairs, hoping that buildings in Drage had underground storage cellars. It was no use, though, because the hurricane was especially after Isla. Before too long, everyone in the city could hear from within the hurricane's blast a voice bellowing, Isla thief! Come here
now.
Isla's eyes grew wide with fear and her heart began to race. The voice continued,
Isla thief and your horrible husband, come here now.
Isla felt faint. How could a hurricane be shouting at her? She broke into a sweat. Where was that wretched Nell due? Perhaps she'd set up this whole thing. The earth began to tremble again and the voice grew louder.
Isla thief, I'm ordering you to come out now. If you don't, I'll come and find you. And you won't like that because you'll get covered in quite a bit of rubble. This is your last chance. I'm counting to 10. 1, 2.
Isla bolted for the stairs. On the streets of Drage, people were wailing and screaming. The full moon shone on the dust created as the whirlwind made its way through the city, shouting all the way, Isla thief, where are you? Isla emerged onto the street, trembling with fear. The voice continued,
8, 9.
I'm here, she called in a shaky voice. I'm Isla Thief. The whirlwind slowed down, the dust settled, and in the middle of the tornado, an enormous electric wheelchair could be seen. It was larger than the hotel in which Isla had been staying, and seated upon it was an enormous angel. Well, we can't say enormous twice when we're writing, can we? And seated upon it was a gigantic angel with 2 dead legs. Isla gasped as the angel's wings extended to their full span. Don't think I can say dead legs either, because I don't want to offend anyone who's in a wheelchair. So I've changed that to say the wheelchair was larger than the hotel in which Isla had been staying, and seated upon it was a gigantic angel. Isla gasped as the angel's wings extended to their full span, blocking out the sky from her view.
Isla thief, did you and your cruel husband dare to violate the rights of human beings by turning them into the beads on a necklace?
Isla's mouth quivered. I'm not sure what you mean, she called.
Not sure what I mean?
Shouted the angel, reaching down to pick up Isla between his thumb and his forefinger. Isla screamed, but no one dared to defend her. The angel whispered in a voice that only Isla could hear, You know exactly what I mean, Mrs. Pants on Fire. Before you bother telling me any more lies, you're coming with me. I wasn't the one who turned them into beads, wailed Isla, but the angel was already revving up his flying wheelchair, causing dust and debris to spray all over his onlookers. The angel's great wings began to flap, causing the whirlwind to begin all over again. He roared with laughter as Isla fainted in his fingers. Staring down at the people of Drage, he shouted,
I should let her fall to the ground like the piece of birds dropping that she is, but that would be far too easy a punishment. No, I've something far, far better in store for our Isla Vila.
The entire city was in a state of shock for days. How no one had been harmed in the hurricane, even though several buildings had been destroyed, no one could understand. Everyone was confounded by the entire event. Some said it was the hand of God. I should put that in inverted commas. Some said it was an alien force, and others claimed that the entire thing was a freak tornado with people only imagining a loud voice. There were 2 people, however, who knew for certain that everything had happened just as it's been reported in this book, and we shall return to those people later on to see what became of them.